what's up, everybody? This is Melvin here from the Melvin Live Show. This is episode 101. And in today's episode itself, I think many of you might be asking the question about how do I get started in terms of live streaming? I mean, what kind of gear should I get? And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. Now, before we go on, if you're the first time here on this show, we talk about the mindset, skill sets, and tool set to help you build a 1% 1 million or digital business. And in case you're wondering, if you want to get started in terms of building your digital business, this is where you can go to. Head on down to catalyticcourses.com and from there select a range of courses relating to starting, building, and growing your digital business. And now, with that aside, let's get back to today's topic. Now, so live streaming, what is so different about live streaming from recorded videos? Well, one of the key thing with live streaming is the ability to interact with your audience in real time. So for those of you who are watching right now, please leave a comment, say hi, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, all right, where you're watching from, and leave that in the comments below. And so the main difference between a live and recorded video is that in live you can engage in real time with your audience, and you can also use live video in various ways. For example, some companies are using live video as a way to broadcast their product launches, for example, or news releases without having to rely purely on the traditional mainstream media, right? And so it kind of democratized the way that we have been doing or the way that we've been thinking about broadcasting. And so if that's something that your company is looking at, definitely you want to look at live broadcast. And incidentally, all the um, uh, major social media platforms allow you to do live, whether directly, natively, or via a third party app. And we're going to get into more details later on. Right. And if you are an individual and you are thinking about building your own personal brand, or you want to build a presence online, what better way right now than to go into live streaming? And why I firmly believe in live streaming, because I believe that the live streaming dramatically separates the people from doing recorded videos. I mean, it's easier to do a recorded video in a sense because you can do, a second take and a third take if the first take it's not good, right? Um, Whereas you can't do something like that on live video. There is no second take. You probably just have to, the worst case scenario is to delete the current stream and then restart again. Um, so that it's a key difference between recorded and live streaming. So in a sense, live streaming is a little bit more difficult because it requires you to be able to know your topics, right off the bat, and to be able to speak off the cuff in a way that's able to engage your audience. Now, what I like about live streaming is also because of its simplicity, because I do not want to waste a bunch of time editing videos every day. I mean, previously when I was creating videos on LinkedIn, I kind of make sure that the videos are under 3 minutes, and I make myself, abide by this rule. The video that I make has to be taken in one take, and so I have created a work process to kind of allow me to edit the video and produce it and publish it all within 45 minutes, right? And but in order for me to get there, I literally had to put in hundreds of hours before I can get to that level of efficiency and effectiveness. And so with live streaming, it's a lot easier. I just turn on the camera, I know my script, I just talk, and once it's done, right? Um, So in that sense, it's easier to do than a recorded video, because recorded video you actually need to do some editing. But it also gives you the ability to bring in B rolls, for example. And so that kind of led me to think, how could I make my live stream different from everybody else, right? And when I say everybody else, I'm comparing myself with anyone who is a one person or a small team of people who are doing the live show itself. How can I be different? And so that's something that I'm going to be pushing myself as we go forward, because this being the 101st episode already. As I always say, you need to get through that threshold of 100 episodes before you talk about some level of expertise and professionalism. Now, so with that aside, there are a few things that you definitely want to make sure that you need to have in order to start live streaming. And I'm not gonna, assume anything here. So I'm gonna tell you what are the key basic things that you must have if you want to do live streaming. So number one, you will need a computer, right? You will need a computer in order to live stream. You can, of course, replace the computer with a cell phone. So if you got a cell phone or an iPad, for example, you will be able to do live streaming. Now, so let's go down the path of laptop versus mobile devices first, right? So that we kind of don't complicate things. So let's look at if you are looking at live streaming and you want to do it at home. So the minimum three things that you must have would be a laptop, B, a webcam. So that could be a built-in webcam on your computer, or you can bring it to the next level and buy an external webcam that kind of gives you better resolution up to 1080p. And these days there are some webcam that gives you better than 1080p, right? So you need a computer, you need a webcam, and you would also need internet access. Okay, so that is the basic that you must have when you are thinking about doing live streaming on your computer. Now, if you're thinking about live streaming on your cell phone, and presumably you are able to use the data plan on your cell phone, then all you need really is just a cell phone, right? Because on the cell phone itself, it has a good enough front facing camera. It also has the ability to live stream using some of the native apps on Facebook as well as on Instagram, for example. And for those of you who are thinking about, YouTube, that's something that we're going to be talking about separately. So at the basic level, minimal, if you're looking at doing it on a laptop, you need a laptop, you need a webcam, and you need internet connection. If you're thinking of doing it on a mobile device, then that mobile device, it's pretty much self-contained because it has a front-facing camera, and you are likely have a data plan to go along, right? So that's the basics. Now, if we were to take it one notch higher, right, one notch higher, that one notch higher, if you are looking at using a computer, then this is some of the things that you can get. So in addition to thinking about using the webcam, you may want to invest in a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Now, the one that I'm using right now is the brand new Sony ZV-1. And I bought this camera because previously I was using my Canon 80D, but the Canon 80D has got an issue because it's a little bit bigger and it doesn't have a clean HDMI output. If you do not understand what I'm talking about, just ignore that, right? So if you're doing a live stream on a computer, if you want to up the game a little bit, right, you definitely want to get a DSLR or a mirrorless camera to be used as a webcam for your live streaming. So that's one of the things that you can add. The second thing that you can add would be this guy, right? So you would want to add an external microphone. Now, there are tons of microphone for you to kind of choose from. Um, but some of the things that you really want to take into consideration is that the microphone must be a microphone that kind of doesn't pick up the ambient sound around it. So, what I mean by this is the following. If you look at this microphone here, it's kind of like a round microphone, right? And this one, what happens is that it's got features that allows you to, just talk directly into the microphone from here, or you can have both people talking into the microphone this way, right? So this one gives you the ability to switch the function around. And because I'm the only one here, so I'm using this microphone, and it's only picking up my voice here, and the rest of it, right, the surrounding, it is not picking that up. So you want a good USB mic to begin with, and there are several options out there for you, but by and large, the ones that I really recommend is the Blue Yeti microphone. You don't have to get the pro version; just get the Blue Yeti. If you're wondering, what are the list of gear, don't worry, I will leave that in the description later on. All right. So you will want to get a camera, a DSLR or a mirrorless. In my case, I've I was using a DSLR, the Canon 80D, but then I switched to the latest Sony ZV-1 as my webcam now. And so that's one thing that you definitely want to take it one notch up. The other thing that you want to take it one notch up would be your audio, and this is where you want to get an external microphone. So you can get like a USB mic like this Blue Yeti, or you can get one of those shotgun mic that goes directly into the camera, and that's also a possibility. Well, I have both of them, and I've been playing around with them to see which one gives me the best audio. And I must say that maybe because I've not gone into play with the settings for the mic, but I must say that the Blue Yeti by far is the best audio ever. All right, so camera and microphone. Now, the third thing that you definitely want to do in terms of upping your game if you're using a computer is that you want to get lighting, right? So, what I have here in front of me right now is I've got this main light here that is right on top of me, right? This main light here, it's doing that main the main thing is it's doing is that it's illuminating me, and because it's huge enough, it is also illuminating the background itself, right? And so that kind of makes me, it gives me the good enough illuminates me enough so that you can see me properly. Now I have a second light which I use here, and this one it's to kind of give me that feel light, right? And so this feel light, it's to kind of fill it out so that I kind of look um in a way three-dimensional, because I like to wear the black t-shirt, and sometimes it kind of blends into the background itself, right? And so if you want to take it one notch up, definitely invest in a camera, invest in an external microphone, and definitely you want to get some kind of lighting. All right, so that it's what you would do if you are live streaming on a computer. Now, if you got any question at this point in time, feel free to leave me your question, and I'll be more than glad to answer those questions. And for those of you who are watching the replay, um, go on and leave me your questions still, because I will come back to. I'll get a notification whenever someone leave a comment. So leave your questions in the comments, and I'll be sure to get back to you. All right. Now, if you are looking at live streaming using your cell phone, and you want to take it one notch up, um, you definitely want to invest in an external microphone. Now, there are a ton of options. Some are fairly inexpensive, and some would cost you an arm and leg. So, if you're on a budget, I would say a wired lavalier mic would be good enough, right? A wired lavalier mic would be good enough. The ones that I got, I think you can get it for like $25 to $35, right? Sing dollars. Um, but if you have a bit of budget and you want to invest, then definitely you want to get a Rode mic, for example, and those are the ones that are pretty good. All right, and actually they're still quite inexpensive, but the level of audio that it gives you is just tremendous. Okay, so if you're on a cell phone and you want to take it one notch up, definitely get an external microphone. Now let's come to the computer again. Now, if you're on a computer and you want to up your game, um, so now you've got the camera, you got the mic, you got the lights. The next thing that you really want to look at is your background. And so, as you can see, because I'm using a camera right now, you can see that the background is that blurry look, right? It gives you that depth of field, so that you know that it is not. I'm I'm at a distance away from the wall itself, right? If you were to be using a cell phone, you would not be able to get that depth of field. And what that means is that your the background and you will be in focus, and that creates a problem, in a sense that if what you're wearing kind of matches the background, you kind of blends into it and you kind of disappear, so to speak. And so um, if you're on a computer and you have upgraded your camera, you've upgraded your microphone, you have lighting, some things to take note is that you might want to put some lights in the background, like what I've done, right? And the reason we're putting the lights in the background is that it kind of creates an additional depth, and it creates a different kind of an environment as well, right? So it really ups the game a lot, I would say. And what I've done is, I've gotten some additional lights and some LED lights with some gels, so that, I could change the color of the background itself. Right now, these are not absolutely necessary, but, I mean, for me, I really want to be able to live stream in a professional way. And so that's why I'm investing in that. Okay. So you definitely want to have some additional lights in the background. Likewise, if you are doing, live streaming on your cell phone and you've gotten the mic, the next level is that you want to play with the light. So whether the lights to illuminate you or the lights in the background, those are some of the things that you can look at. All right, so that is really taking up two, two notches up. Now let's come back to the cameras. Let's come back to the laptop itself. Now, if you're on the laptop and you really want to take your live streaming game three notches up, right? Because one notch up, it's you going with, a camera, the the microphone, and the lights. Two notches up is you kind of, beautify and be creative with your background, right? Adding some additional lights. Um, I could add some more lights to kind of make the background a little bit more interesting, right? But at the same time, you want to keep it simple and not too distracting itself. So I could have cleaned up the place, but really, in a sense, I want it to look good, but I do not want it to look too perfect as well, right? So taking two notches up is really, some decorations in the background. Now, if you want to take it three notches up, then what you might want to invest in is some additional hardware. And the piece of hardware that I have is actually a switcher. And this switcher, what it does is that, I'm able to switch from one scene to another scene. And this really gives me that ability to do a few things. For example, I could do picture in picture, which means, let's just give you an example here. If I am, let's say, doing this, right? I could, in fact, add on a picture in picture whereby now you would see me, right, in the corner itself. And so that's something that you can do, right? Of course, you can, you can add more things to that. For example, I could have a second screen, and in that second screen itself, I could then show you something else, right? I could show you my iPad, for example. So this is something that you can definitely do. And the switcher is good because it kind of allows you to bring in different inputs. So if at some point in time, if you have some kind of a interview, you can actually bring in additional inputs, right? So technically speaking, I could fix up a second and the third camera and to do multi-camera view. But at this point in time, because it's just me, I'm not going to go crazy with that. But that's a possibility. In addition to that, with the switcher, as you can see in the introduction itself, I'm able to, roll my intro before we kind of start the show itself. So all those things are possible, but those are really, really just additional, and you do not have to do that unless you really want to. Okay. Now, on the cell phone, are you able to do something like a switcher? And the answer is yes, provided if you are on the iOS environment, right? So on iOS devices, you actually are able to subscribe to a service, and that's called Switcher Studio. And with the Switcher Studio itself, you can actually do multi cameras and all that cool stuff like you can with this hardware. So it's pretty amazing that, in on a mobile device itself, you can actually turn your cell phone into a switcher by having multiple inputs and all that cool stuff. So it's really amazing. But that model is on a subscription basis. So I'm 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 actually trying to move away from anything that's subscription. I'd rather pay one time, acquire the hardware or the software, and to be able to work with it. And so those are the ways that you could do if you want to start live streaming. So share with me, what are some of the things that you will be doing? um, what are the things that you are going to do for live streaming? Tell me, if you're going to be doing live streaming, what will you be talking about? And also share with me, if you're going to be doing live streaming, um, what exactly would you be, um, discussing, right? And so, with that, I thank you so much for watching, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.